Hi, it's Caitlin from Caitlin Swatches, and I'm here today with a very exciting collection from Wildflower Lacquer. Wildflower Lacquer has officially turned 6, and in order to celebrate, they have created a back to the 90s birthday collection, which is just full of 90s nostalgia. So I'm here for it. I'm really excited to share these polishes. They're really beautiful. They will be available for pre-order from March 6th through the 10th on the Wildflower Lacquer website. I'll include those details down in the description, and I'm sure if you have a favorite website that stocks Wildflower Lacquer, they will also have a separate pre-order, so check with them on that timing. Let's get into the nail polish. I thought we would start off with Retro Roller Skates. This was the one out of the package I was most excited about, and this one is inspired by roller skating on Friday nights at the skating rink, and it reminds me of a pair of vintage style roller skates that my sister had. I think they were Barbie. They were white with pink wheels, and this polish is definitely giving that. It's described as having a white base with pink to orange to yellow shifting shimmer. And as you're going to see, this polish is definitely sheer. I will build it up in 3 coats, but my nail line was still visible even after 3 coats. That's obviously the intention with a polish like this, but if you're not a fan of that look, you can absolutely layer it. As you can see, it's very even in its formulation, which means it will layer really nicely over a complementary color. You could layer it over a white cream if you wanted, or anything really, even a black, that would give it a totally different effect. So I am going to recommend a good glossy top coat because it does dry down a little bit dull, not fully matte, but a little bit dull. So you definitely want a good glossy top coat to bring out the shine. And this is it under my swatch lighting, and you will see those orange and yellow and green shifts when I start moving my hands around now. So I was able to get a little bit of sun on the day when I swatched this polish, and you can definitely see that it's incredibly shifty. It has pretty much all the colors of the rainbow in there, and then when you get it under regular really bright lighting, you mostly see the pink, but as you can see here, the orange is super prominent. And even when you're not in any kind of lighting, like the shade right now where you can see my hand, it's still really beautiful and shifty. So this is a really fun polish for anyone who likes shimmery, ethereal nail polish. Moving along, we have Ceiling Full of Stars, and this one is a glow-in-the-dark polish, which also really excited me when I saw it in the bottle. This one's inspired by the glow-in-the-dark stars that stuck on Taylor's ceiling when she was growing up. And I definitely had those as well as a kid, and I think there might even be still one somewhere in the house. This polish has a really good formula, but again, it is extremely sheer and you won't get full opacity in 3 coats. You get sort of close, but not fully there. So this is another polish you could definitely layer, mix and match, do what you want with it, and you'll still see that glow in the dark effect, which I was able to capture on camera, and it looks super cool. Here it is, as you can see, in 3 coats. It's getting close to opacity, but if you were being really picky, you could still sort of see my nail line. And because it is a glow in the dark polish, it will dry down a little bit matte and dull. Use a really good glossy top coat, and it will bring back the shine, as you can see. My top coat was starting to get a bit stringy, so I was struggling. And here it is. It's definitely a ghostly polish, as you could see right there, my finger dance, and I love how this one shifts to that really beautiful green and almost blue at extreme angles. It's really fun. So yeah, I'm going to call this one a ghostly polish because it almost looks like it disappears on my nail at certain angles. And you know, I love a ghostly nail polish. So this is it in the daytime, and in the dark, in the nighttime, this is how it's going to glow. So it does need to charge up a little bit in sun or under a lamp. And then when you go in the dark, it will look like this. Here we have Polly in My Pocket, which is so fun because I loved Polly Pocket growing up. And this one is a pastel violet base with pink to red to gold shifting shimmer. And again, we're definitely continuing with a sheerer formulation for all of these polishes so far in the collection. I personally love that, so I was very happy to see it. This one has a fantastic formula. Everything so far has a fantastic formula. They just take more coats to build up or layering if you're not a fan of visible nail line. But I am a fan of visible nail line, so I probably would leave most of these in 2 coats, but I was curious to see how they would look in 3, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know how they'll look in 3, so that's why I put on a 3rd coat. So I will note that you should wait probably 2 to 3 minutes between coats to make sure everything's dry. That's just something I noticed with sheer polishes. You want to make sure the previous coat is dry before you go in so you prevent any dragging. And this one also dried down a little bit dull, so I recommend a good glossy top coat like I've applied here. And as you will see in a second, this one has really beautiful shifts. I love that orangey shift. It just complements the base color so beautifully. I love how this looks in the sun. It's super delicate and really unique. I don't have a lot of polishes that have that kind of base color and shift. I think it works extremely well, especially with that sheer base. It's just absolutely fantastic. Moving along, we have Dolphin Obsession, and this one is inspired by the dolphins craze of the 90s, which is funny because it really was a thing in the 90s. I remember having a dolphin necklace that I got in Florida, and then there was the whole Lisa Frank dolphin image that I think I had a binder with. So I was definitely a dolphin girly, and this polish is speaking to that side of me that I've forgotten about because I love this polish. It's a taupey gray base with aqua to purple to pink shifting shimmer, and this is a bit of a sibling to You Had Me at Hydrangea, which I don't have to compare, but if you know that polish, this one is similar. The shimmer in this is very strong, and I left it at 2 coats. As you can see, it was almost opaque for me in 2 coats, and it definitely is a ghostly polish because as you can see my fingers move, it disappears on my nail. So I love the shifts in this polish. I love that purpley pink shift you get at extreme angles. It looks fantastic in all lighting. The sun was starting to fade by the time I swatched this one, so here it is in sort of overcast lighting. Here we have Lil Miss Singing Mermaid, and this is inspired by the Singing Mermaid doll, which I wasn't aware of. And this one is a dark cornflower blue jelly with subtle purple to pink to gold shifting shimmer and scattered iridescent glitters. I absolutely love iridescent glitters, which made me very excited to see this polish in the collection. This one has a really good formula. Again, it's sheer. All of those elements show up really nicely because of the sheerness of the base, but I will recommend 3 coats for this one in order to get full opacity. As you can see, hopefully the shimmer in this one is quite strong. That pink is very visible, and those iridescent flakes, or sorry, not flakes, they're glitters. They're very obvious. They come out very easily from the bottle. I didn't have to leave it upside down, but this will dry down textured. I think it would be okay with 1 thick coat of top coat, just based on what I did when I swatched the polish. I don't think it'll require a glitter grabber, but it will be a tiny bit more difficult to remove than the other polishes we've seen so far. And here it is. As I start moving around through different lighting, you can catch the way that those iridescent glitters reflect the light. I think it's really pretty, and this one is just a beautiful shade of blue. I don't have a ton of blues like this, so I'm always happy to add a new one to my collection, and it's just really unique. Next up we have Juice Bar, which, oh my goodness, I was so excited when I saw the inspiration for this polish. It's inspired by Juice Bar body sprays, and this must have been late in the 90s or maybe even the early 2000s, but I remember reading some sort of teen magazine and seeing an advertisement for Juice Bar body spray, thinking it was going to be the most delicious smelling gummy bear scented thing of all time. And I remember getting into Target, finding one, spraying it, and almost gagging because it was so sickeningly sweet. It was disgusting. So that was when I learned about the dangers of advertising. So this polish is a dark pink base with copper to gold to green shifting shimmer and hollow flakes. As you can see, it has a very opaque formula. I only needed 2 coats and it does dry down dull, so I recommend a really good thick glossy top coat to maintain the shine on this one. And as you can see, the shimmer isn't super intense, but it's there and complements it nicely. And here we have Sky Dancer. This one is inspired by the Sky Dancer toys that were probably a little too dangerous to have actually been approved. I remember, I don't know if I actually had one, but yeah, they just are a bit chaotic. And if anyone here is a fan of Trixie Mattel and Katya, then you've probably seen an episode of where they play with Sky Dancers, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. This polish is a teal base with pink to gold to green shifting shimmer. It's beautiful. I love the shifts in this one. And I will say you might want to build this up in 3. I probably would leave it in 2, but it deepens up the teal if you apply a 3rd coat like I'm doing here. And this does dry down, again, a little bit more dull than it applies. So use a good glossy top coat to bring back the shine, and in a second you will be very excited to see the shifts in this one because they really are intense and surprised me a little bit. So here you can see this polish looks practically green. You're getting yellow, you're getting pink, you're getting everything on the nail at once. It looks absolutely incredible. It's a very magical polish, and I had no idea I would like it so much, but turns out I love it. You basically can't get a bad angle with this polish. It just looks good all the time. Here we have a Planetary Berry, which is another one that was just full of nostalgia for me. It's inspired by one of Taylor's favorite lip smackers from the 90s, and it is a light purple base with aqua to purple shifting shimmer and linear hollow. I remember going to the mall with my grandparents and taking my allowance with me. Is that what they were called? I guess so. When you would get money for basically just existing as a kid and doing the bare minimum. I remember going and buying a lip smacker product. I think it was called Boysenberries, maybe. Anyway, lip smackers are just one of those things that when I think about them or see them, it just brings me right back to being a kid. And this polish definitely looks like the packaging for the Planetary Berry scented or flavored lip smacker. I think Taylor did a fantastic job with this polish. It's beautifully opaque in 2 coats. Again, use a good top coat to bring out the shine. And unfortunately, I didn't have any sun to show off the hollow, but it's really strong, and the shifts, as you can see, are really intense and beautiful. This is a gorgeous polish, and I really like it. Last but not least, we have the Polished Hippie, which is not part of the 90s collection, but it is a limited edition, in part for celebrating the 6th anniversary of Wildflower Lacquer. And this one is a deep red linear hollow inspired by Anne of The Polished Hippie, which is one of the OG indie nail polish blogs that I remember following probably 10 years ago or more. So Anne helped Taylor when she launched her brand by swatching her polishes, and this is a tribute to the Polished Hippie herself. So this is a really beautiful, I want to say it's almost like a burnt red with a touch of orange to it. It's a really interesting shade of red, and the hollow in this works so well. It's got a really strong linear hollow flame, and it just looks fantastic on the nail. It might cause staining. I didn't experience any, but be safe and use a base coat just to be on the safe side. Again, no sun, but as you can see, this looks fantastic under my lights. I really love a lot of those polishes, but my top picks, I will try to be selective. Dolphin Obsession is definitely beautiful and incredibly shifty. I have a love-hate relationship with grays, but I definitely love that one. It's beautiful. It's a little bit on the sheer side. It's super shifty, so I'm a big fan of that polish. And I also really love Stealing Full of Stars because I love a good glow-in-the-dark polish. It's very entertaining. I don't spend a lot of time in the dark, but it's fun to watch your nails glow in the dark, and I also think it looks really cool in regular light. So let me know in the comments if you're planning on picking up anything from this release. Let me know if this collection induced a whole bunch of nostalgia for you, or maybe you're way too young. Let me know, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Bye!